Welcome to Beyond the Barrier,
Brackingham 905.
the podcast where we explore the wild world of public safety, fire, law enforcement, EMS, and security with your hosts, Jake, Corwin, and Joe. We're here to break down the barriers and go beyond the usual topics, from heroic tales of first responders to the latest tech in the security industry. We've got you covered, so buckle up and get ready for a ride that's sure to be as exciting as a high-speed chase, but with less sirens. Let's jump beyond the barrier and see what's on the other side.
Starting a card for a parking problem.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the podcast Beyond the Barrier. This is our first episode. We're still working out a lot of bugs, a lot of glitches and everything, so bear with us. To get the show started, we will start with some housekeeping. If you'd like something you'd like us to talk about, send us an email at beyondthebarrier1@gmail.com. Or you can reach us on our social media, Facebook, Twitter. We have a website coming soon that people will be able to reach us on. If you have some artwork that you would like us to post with one of our shows, all of our shows get their own post. Submit your artwork at the same email, beyondthebarrier1@gmail.com. With further ado, we'll get started and start kind of introduce ourselves and what we plan on talking about in this podcast and what everybody can expect from us. I guess I'll go first. My name's Jake. I've been in public safety my entire adult life. My first job ever was a security guard at a grain processing facility. I basically sat in a weigh station for semis and checked semis in and out. And that's how I got started. After that, I went and worked for the United States Department of Labor under a contract of CSD, which is it's just a company that is contracted through the United States Department of Labor. I did that for quite some time. Right around 3-4 years, something like that. That's where I met one of the lovely co-hosts here, Corwin. So we did that together for a little while. Like I said, 3 or 4 years. After that, I didn't like the way they were going. Plus, a lot of my friends were leaving. So I left. I went to a agricultural manufacturing facility. Let me stop right there. First, I went to a certain social media platform, and I worked for them doing security for a short time, 2 days to be exact. I just did not enjoy it at all, so I left there after 2 short days. But after that, I went to an agricultural manufacturing facility where they manufactured mainly agricultural equipment and then also heavy equipment for like the mining industry and stuff. So I did about 2 years there, and I left that for where I currently am. I'm currently a public safety officer, lead officer, so I run an entire shift for I've been doing that for just shy of 4 years, I think. 3.5, something like that. And in that time, I kind of left out that I also joined my local fire department at the age of 18, so I've done that my whole adult life too. I've been on a fire department in one way or another since I was 18, and countless hours of training and stuff have gone into that. I've been on 2 fire departments. The first one I started with was Melrose Fire Department here in Iowa, and then I am currently on Lacona Fire Department, and I've been with them for 2 or 3 years, something like that. I could be wrong. I don't remember. I'm terrible with time frames. But that is on the side. During that time, I also did concert security, high-end executive protection, and I also did protection for presidential candidates. I've done everything from armed security all the way down to you get a uniform and that's it. So wide range of jobs and different roles throughout the public safety world. Corbin, let's hear from you.
Kind of similar to Jake here. I started out on a fire department, local fire department in 2012, with a lot of family members. And from there, the curiosity got me. 16 years old, didn't know what I wanted to do. Still sometimes don't know what I wanted to do. But when you come from a long line of people in, the nursing field, public safety in general, you just want to do something similar. Then I went to Indian Hills Community College, into their criminal justice program, became a reserve police officer for a small southeast Iowa town. Did that for almost 3 years, somewhere around there. Worked with Jake with the Department of Labor in our contract with CSD. That's how we got our start. Learned a lot of things from them and the crew there, as well as learning to kind of mellow out a little bit. I was very straight-laced, wasn't I, Jake?
Yeah, everybody, once they get into the field, everybody's that gun-ho, let's get at it kind of person. And that's okay. That's what we want to see with people that are just joining. But like you said, you chill out over time. So
you have to walk before you run, guys. Walk before you run.
Most definitely.
After that, I left around the same time Jake left from that contract. I became a paper pusher. I worked for a broker-dealer doing compliance for the securities industry, as well as cybersecurity, open source intelligence, all that kind of fun stuff, specialized in governance, risk, and compliance. So out of the three of us, I'm more of the administrative guy. So it's exciting, he said unconfidently.
Yeah, it is. It really is. This is something that we've had in the makings for quite some time, and I'm really glad to see it start together. Joe, what do you got for us? Who are you? What are you?
Well, I am not good at remembering stuff, so I'm gonna take this off the little note that I wrote. So
I'll jump in and help out where I can.
My name is Joe. I am Jake's twin brother. I started my career in public safety as a firefighter with a very small rural fire department. Like Corin said, you have to walk before you run. This was the type of fire department where they still have beer in the fridge and liquor in the oven.
That's an understatement. It was a fun time, though. It was a good start.
But while at that fire department, I obtained my EMR, which is emergency medical responder. After that, I moved away from there. I had a short break where I worked as a crane operator, and I absolutely loved it. I don't know why I ever left being a crane operator and got into this. I then joined the fire department I'm currently with. I've been with them for going on 5 years. While there, I got my EMT, and for those who don't know, it stands for Emergency Medical Technician. And I recently finished my advanced EMT, so that I can provide some ALS services on that ambulance. I also obtained the role of assistant rescue chief while at that fire department. And that's what I currently do there. Full time, I worked in a career of security. I started with a very small company based out of Des Moines. While there, I did various odds and ends. I started out in event security, working at an event venue that, again, I absolutely loved working the venue because it was a venue that had a lot of history behind it. And then kind of moved up from there. I did some skywalk security at the skywalk in Des Moines. That was very interesting. The homeless population is a very interesting crowd of people to deal with. And all the way up to executive protection. I did executive security for Democratic presidential candidates of 2021 at a gun sense forum hosted by Moms Demand Action and Students Demand Action.
Might I add, it was the most interesting thing that I have done in a while because this was a gun forum. So gun reform, they didn't want guns, but they wanted armed security. So just had to add that in there. It was funny. I just thought it was the craziest thing ever that they don't want guns, but they want armed security. So sorry, Joe, go ahead.
It was also my first run-in with the Secret Service. My first experience working with them. It was very interesting. They are very not what I expected them to be. Very laid-back people, down to earth. They make you feel no less of a person than they are. The guys I worked with were easy to get along with and had great respect.
They were super fun. Joe and I worked this event together. And I'll agree with him. They were super fun to work with. Like he said, easy to get along with. If they needed something, we got it for them, and if we needed something, they got it for us. It was really nice that they had the amount of respect for some good old boys security guards that were just there. But it was fun to work with them.
See, my only experience with Secret Service was the Uniform Division in Washington, D.C. And they're a little intense, not going to lie. So I'd be excited to meet some of the agents because that's a very different experience.
With all the, I guess everybody we worked with you would have called agents. So can't speak to the Uniform Division.
The agents, they were fun, though. They were fun to work with. And I'll give you all this little tidbit of information, and it's just interesting. You do not see them carry any kind of weapon, but a lot of them carry backpacks. And I'll leave you to interpret what's in those backpacks, but I can tell you they are more than ready for whatever's going down.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how Beyond the Barrier got canceled after episode 1.
All right, sorry, Joe. We keep interrupting you. Go ahead.
So from there, moving on, I moved into hospital security in the metro area at a level 1 trauma unit and a adult and child psychiatric unit. I did that for quite some time, and then I thought, well, I want to take my chances working in the prison system. So I went to the prison system. I was there for 3 months, and I'm like, yeah, this ain't for me. I got to get the hell out of here. And it's not that I couldn't deal with the people or anything. It's a different feeling locked in. So I just didn't like the locked in feeling. So I went back to the hospital after that, and again decided I wanted to try something else. So I moved into supply chain security, which is where I currently am. So I work for a distribution center for a grocery store that provides groceries to stores throughout the Midwest. However, I can't say that I definitively enjoy that. My future plans are to move back into hospital security at some point and make that my home where I can stay. With the jobs and my volunteer experience, I've gained 5+ years in several different fields related to public safety. But my primary focus is EMS and hospital security.
And that's mine too. I mentioned that I work, and that's my primary full-time job, and then I do the fire as a volunteer basis. I believe that, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, I believe I am whatever you want to call it, the most seasoned experience. These guys have all had other jobs outside of this realm, my whole career has always been in security, public safety, one form or another. So my 10 plus years have all come from public safety. Anything else anybody wants to add on their little tidbits about themselves?
I guess the only thing I forgot to mention, I work with Jake again in the hospital. So I do hospital security and enjoy it thoroughly after a long time sitting behind a desk doing critical infrastructure, cybersecurity type stuff. It just got boring. It got old. And I wanted to be out in the field again.
I will add that I guess I forgot about this. I picked up a part-time job a while ago just to have something extra to do. I worked for the police department doing their code enforcement. So if we ever get on that topic, I know a little bit about that.
One thing I want to add is you'll constantly probably hear us say hospital security, which is technically what we are. But a lot of people get that image in their head of, just a guy standing at the door, observe and report, Paul Blart. That is the absolutely the furthest thing away from hospital security. We're actually referred to as public safety officers. We are not a security department at all. And then where we live, I don't know if these guys are okay with it, but I'm saying we live in Iowa. And I don't know if at a legal level there's a difference between the term security and public safety. Maybe Joe knows.
I can tell you in Iowa that if you have a private security company and you go to the Iowa Department of Public Safety to register your security company or license your security company, and you use the title public safety officer, they will not license you. It's not a term allowed to be used by private security. The way hospitals use it is Iowa's a little different. In the state of Iowa, if you work for the company that you're providing security, so we worked for the hospital, we don't work for a private agency.
We're not contracted out.
We're not contracted out or anything like that. We don't have to be licensed. We don't have guard cards. We work for the hospital.
Yep. We don't carry anything like that.
Therefore, we're not governed by the Department of Public Safety. We can use any term we want, minus police and sheriff, or constable and stuff like that. So that would be the difference. Legally, legally, I don't know if there's a difference, but I can tell you that the DPS will not let a private security company in the state of Iowa have the term public safety officer.
So thank you for that, because I had no idea. But like I said, a lot of people think of us as, we're just security guards standing at the door, observe and report, the old Paul Blart. But that's the furthest thing away from the truth that there is. We do everything law enforcement does on our property. And I mean everything. There's nothing that we haven't investigated or dealt with other than like, a murder. Obviously we're not investigating murders. But we deal with narcotics, intoxication, parking enforcement, everything. Our main thing that we deal with, obviously, is patients and visitors, and patients being the main thing. And we do a lot of hands-on work, and I say a lot, I mean a lot. I will argue
I'll stop you there. I want to go back and touch on this real quick. When he says we deal with patients, okay, it's different than a contracted security guard dealing with a patient or a person. We are governed by, it's called CMS, Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services. So the things we can do have to be justified 160% before we do them. Otherwise, the agency or hospital we work for can lose their certification for CMS. And if something like that were to happen, you're talking about putting a hospital out of business, because then they can't take Medicaid and Medicare patients. So,
and they're not the only.
The things we do Yeah, we may go hands-on, or we may use pepper spray or handcuff somebody. But we have to have gone through that 100 times in our heads before we've done it. And there has to be absolute reason for it.
Yeah, there has to be viable justification. And CMS is not our only governing body. I forget what the other one's called.
Department of Inspection and Appeals of the state of Iowa.
But
they're going. Then they still go off CMS guidelines.
Yeah, they fall under CMS. It's just like a sub department of that core one.
Well,
but there's another
CMS
one too.
CMS is like your national level, and DIA would be the state
DIA.
level.
Yes, that's what I was trying to refer to. That's the one that's like a sub department of whatever that one is. Corwin named. I can't remember.
Oh, DIA stands for Department of Inspections and Appeals, Jake. Jeez.
Yeah, whatever. There's so many of them. It's hard to keep track of them. But like I said, so, we're not normal Paul Blarts. We do a lot of work. We average probably, we do arrest people too. I should say that. But anybody can arrest anybody in the state of Iowa.
I wanted to stop you right there. That doesn't mean we have arrest power.
Yeah, I'm not
Iowa,
saying
we have the ability to make.
We make citizens arrest is what we do.
Right, correct.
And we average, I would say, here lately it's gone up. I would say we average probably, anywhere from 20 to 50 arrests in a month, depending on how bad it is, how bad of a month it is. And that's raging arrest from everything from trespassing to assault to destruction of private property.
My very first arrest there was for sexual assault.
Corwin and I just we did a sexual assault investigation about 3 months ago. So what I'm trying to get at is I just don't want people to get confused and think, oh, what the hell, these guys don't know what they're talking about. They're just Paul Blarts that, sit at a desk all day and watch people come and go. That's not what we do. We are very active. We have a big role throughout the hospitals. We have 3 hospitals that we work at. And I will argue with any police officer and say that we fight people more than they ever will in their career. There are days where we have to fight. I say fight, it's a broad term. Fight, restrain, whatever. I will say we do that more than any police officer will in their career ever. There's days where we can do it, 6, 7, 8 times in one 8-hour shift. So,
and coming from being a reserve officer in Southeast Iowa, where you do get into quite a few altercations with suspects, I have done more hands-on in my first month of working with Jake than I did 3 years in that law enforcement capacity. And that says a lot. And we have officers that have come from law enforcement that have said, hey, you guys go hands-on a lot. Like,
yeah, we get a lot of them that, say that, I'm, retiring, wanting to get away from law enforcement, and they step into our world and they're like, holy shit, this is worse than law enforcement. So I just wanted to get that point across that, we say security a lot and people have that stigma in their head that, security is this mundane people that stand there and do nothing all day long. We do a lot. There's so many. I mean, we could sit here and talk about the jobs we do all day long, but
we'll just move on from that, because one of the primary focuses of the podcast will be hospital security. So we'll get more in depth into all that later on.
Yeah, absolutely. So what, I guess we've kind of already talked about it, but what kind of content are we going to cover in our podcast? Well, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. I think we're going to cover public safety and everything that has to do with public safety. Everything from law enforcement, fire, EMS to, the guy that is the stereotypical Paul Blart. Like Joe just said, a lot of our topics will be around the hospital public safety, whether that's, dealing with a patient, visitor, working with law enforcement, fire, whatever. That's what this podcast is going to feature, is just the world of public safety. And all of us have a very broad background and different roles that we've done within the public safety world. So that's our ultimate plan, is to just, cover everything that you can think of that has to do with public safety.
And to tack onto that, you're not going to just hear from us. We're going to pull in our friends, and we're going to pull in listeners like you to tell your story, because to go behind and go beyond the barrier, we're breaking through that front door. We want you guys to have a deep look into what this world actually is, behind every administrative decision. So things like case law, things going into general policies. Granted, this is obviously not legal advice. This is just for entertainment purposes. But we'll also get down to individual stories, because everyone has awesome stories from this field.
Yeah, that's say that again.
Right. And to move on, to touch on that a little bit, I want to touch on the EMS aspect of this. All of the EMS experience that we're going to talk about comes from rural experience. I don't think any of us have any EMS experience working in a metropolitan area or anything like that.
No, not even small. Like, he says rural, he's meaning like rural. We live in a town less than 100 or less than 150 people.
500 people.
Yeah, it's a small town. So our fire and EMS experience is very rural. And that's not to say that we haven't had absolutely insane calls, because I'm sure we could blow your mind with a few.
What I'm saying, though, is there's going to be those people that listen and they've got, experience working for a huge department or metropolitan area. And they're, well, that's not right. That's not how we would do it. Well, probably not. But it's different. It's different in rural areas.
And I think that it also is, the people that say it's not right, you're right. It might not be right for your agency. Every agency is different and how they handle their calls and everything. So,
And the other thing of that is Iowa does not have any progressive EMS protocols. We're pretty dated. So don't expect anything extraordinary as far as that goes.
And Iowa is also, our EMS system here is, it's not mandatory. So like fire and law enforcement.
Well, that actually has changed within the last year. It is now.
Well, here, that's news to me. I'm learning something new.
It has been deemed an essential service. Not a lot of places in Iowa have, I guess, how would you say it? They haven't really hopped on it yet, but there was legislation passed. I expect to see that kind of progress with your property taxes and things like that within the next 2 to 4 years. And really, what that means for people like me in my area is, I live in Warren County, so I think what I'll see in our area is we'll go to a county-wide ambulance service instead of having multiple town-based ambulance services. Which,
in the long run, is probably beneficial for an area like us. It just helps out the community more, and that's what we're all here for, is just to be able to help our community more. But yeah, so that's what our podcast is going to be about. We're going to be about public safety. We're going to talk about every aspect. We won't leave one thing unturned. If you have something you want us to talk about, shoot us an email. We'll talk about it. We're not afraid to talk about anything. This isn't going to be the podcast where every F-bomb is censored and, we can't talk about what we want. We made this podcast because we want to talk about what we want to talk about. And if it's a sore subject, it's a sore subject. It is what it is. That, that's what we want to talk about. So, that was our whole purpose behind this, is we wanted to be able to talk about everything.
And when we say it's raw, unscripted, we have like a very basic outline of what the show is going to be about, and then we just go off on tangents.
Yeah, like all these little tangents that have gone, like our script is like 5 things, give a history of where you came from, what's the podcast about, what are we, this is all just very raw. We're just talking from our asses right now. So yeah, so that's the general idea of what our podcast will be on. Let's see here. I think, we should probably talk about when our content will be available. So our plan is right now, and all of us
Real
have
quick, before you talk about that, I do want to say, look for upcoming postings on the Twitter, the Facebook, anything like that we have, the website. We do plan on, at some point, recognizing different individuals in their careers of public safety. And hopefully, after we recognize those individuals, we'll be able to get them on the show, be able to talk to them about their successes, their failures, that type of thing. But we do plan on recognizing certain people who have made certain accomplishments throughout their career in public safety. So just look for that sometime in the future.
And some of our shows will be on folks that we think have made tremendous impacts on the public safety world, whether it be fire, law enforcement, EMS, security, whatever. We have plans for some shows on people that have done wonderful things. So with that, our content, like I said at the beginning, we are in the very early stages of this podcast. So our plan is to release bi-weekly content. So every 2 weeks, you get an episode. And that's, we all have busy lives. We all work full time. Joe and I have kids. Corwin is still single. Or no. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Hit him up if you want, though. He might be single.
No, dear Lord.
Never mind. Don't hit him up. But yeah, so bi-weekly content. You can find our content on all podcast websites, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all the major podcast hosts. We will be there, and we really hope you guys will enjoy it. Or I'm sorry, enjoy us. Join us to really just go down this road with us. It's something that we've talked about for years doing. Joe and I had this idea, I can't even remember how long ago. It's years, and it's just one of those things that's been put on the back burner constantly, and we've never got around to it, and we are now. And I think I can speak for the 3 of us and say that we're all happy to be here and finally be here. We understand that, our recording and all that's not going to be the greatest right off the bat. We're learning. We're learning how we're public safety professionals that are going into the entertainment world. So it's a huge leap for us, and it's all stuff we are learning along the way. Luckily, we have Corwin. He's done a lot of computer shit, so he's computer smart. Joe and I are pretty good with computers and software too, but just bear with us. It'll get better, I promise.
And on the topic of we're not experts in everything, we're not. So we're always learning. We don't know everything. So we're not going to pretend to be experts in EMS, fire, law enforcement, security. We're knowledgeable. We want to share our knowledge, and we want to help share other people's knowledges. So if you feel that we are missing something, or you feel that we have misrepresented something, let us know, because we have to learn. If we don't learn, then we can't make this better, and we can't make it better without you.
Right.
Yes,
and to touch
absolutely.
on that, all of us have had some sort of schooling, and we are all certified in IHAS and different things throughout public safety. That's not to say that we're experts, though. getting a certification is not hard. The certification, to me, a certification is just a piece of paper that you took a class. How you implement that knowledge
You got to use it. Yeah.
is really determines the person and the character you are.
You can get certified in OC, pepper spray, for those that don't know. You can get certified in that online. But that doesn't mean you understand it. That doesn't mean you understand the effects of what it's doing, or that doesn't mean you understand on how to use it appropriately. Like Joe said, all of us have had schooling certifications. Where Corwin and I work, it is mandatory for us to train so many hours a quarter. So we're constantly learning and evolving, and let's see. Any of you guys got anything else?
I think I'm good with that.
Be on the lookout because we're going to have things like training tips. We'll talk about our favorite gear because I don't have right now, but I'm in the process of getting some search gloves for our department because I believe in them. I've used them before. I really like them. So look out for what we think is the best gear. And if you think you have something that is better than anything we can come up with or better than anything that we have, let us know. We'll see if we can get it. We'll test it out. We'll put it through its paces and we'll see.
Tell us why, though. Tell us why you like it too. We want to know why. So with that, like Corwin said, we are going to have a training tip and gear review at the end of every episode. And it's just, a small thing. So today, the training tip is go and check out the National Association of State Fire Marshals. We'll put the link in the description for the podcast. Maybe. I don't know. I guess this is something I have to learn. I don't know if we can do that on every
in the show notes.
Show
notes.
There you go. We'll put it in the show notes.
It'll go check on Facebook and stuff too.
Yep. So go check out the National Association of State Fire Marshals. They have a lot of great free training, ethanol training, hydrogen response, propane emergencies. All of them are really great, and they are free. A lot of their trainings are free. A lot of the training tips that we will give you guys is free training.
Yeah, and I don't mean to interrupt, but to touch on that real quick, that free training, get it when you don't get it while you can. You never know when you're going to use it.
Yeah, it's not, and you don't know if it's going to be free forever either.
This year on the 4th of July, we had a call for an anhydrous tank leaking. I've never had anything like that in my career. Now, I know a lot about anhydrous, what it does to people, very bad stuff, but never experienced it. And it actually turned out it was one of those huge, 10,000 gallon tanks that was leaking, and
it's bigger than that. I don't know what the size is, but it's those massive tanks.
Go with training like that, going into that and having a little bit of knowledge. It's not quite as scary. So I think
take advantage of it. I think again, the National Association for State Fire Marshals, a lot of great free trainings, and we will have more. And then every episode will have their own training tip. The gear for this show. So where I work, we carry the Motorola APX 6000s. And I also wear a ballistics carrier. And I always struggled with the antenna on that radio. It is like a foot long and would constantly, I'd bend over and it would poke me in the eye. I had it poke me in the eye once, almost lost an eye to a Motorola antenna. That would have been a hell of a story. But anyway, check out the APX 6000XE Motorola antenna. You can find it on Amazon. It is a great little stubby antenna that you will not lose an eye to. And I've used it all over the metro area in Des Moines and never once lost any kind of signal or anything like that. I should add that our radios are on the state system. It's called ISIX. And I've never had any issues with it. It's been a great antenna, and I'm sure it'll be great for you guys too.
I'm going to put a little asterisk there and say it might not poke your eye out. Jake, don't make guarantees, please. That's bad.
Yeah, it might not poke your eye out. Who knows? It could. If you lose your eye to an antenna, let us know. So we will definitely do a show on that because, that would be great.
Because we want to interview and hear that story.
Absolutely. That would just be one hell of a story. I don't care if you were reaching down to tie your shoe or whatever. You lose your eye to an antenna. That is hella great. So with that, guys, please subscribe, like, comment, whatever.
Leave a review. Tell us what we can do to improve.
Absolutely. Help us out. We'll help you out. You help us out. Tell us how much we suck. We'll try and get better.
We appreciate all of you. Thank you for listening, and stay cool out there. Stay safe.
All right, everybody. Take care. Hope to see you in the future.
And that's a wrap for another episode of Beyond the Barrier. We hope you enjoyed diving deep into the world of public safety, fire, law enforcement, EMS, and security with us. Your trusty hosts, Jake, Joe, and Corwin. If you liked what you heard, make sure to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to follow us on social media for even more exclusive content and behind-the-scenes look at our guests and topics. But for now, it's time to put down the walkie-talkies and hang up the handcuffs. We'll catch you next time on Beyond the Barrier, where we'll continue to break down barriers and explore the exciting world of first responders and security professionals. Stay safe out there.